Hi, I'm Jennie with Infinity Real Estate, and we are continuing our series on vibrant and active retirement in Gig Harbor. Today, I am excited to be interviewing two wonderful ladies, Debbie and Barbara from the Gig Harbor New Neighbors Club. I'm so excited for them to share all of their information about the New Neighbors Club because it is one of the best, if not the best way for people who are new to the area to meet new people who have similar interests and develop friendships and integrate into the community. Jennie with Infinity Real Estate, and I am excited to be continuing my series on vibrant and active retirement in Gig Harbor and sharing and highlighting all the great things about retirement here. I am joined today by two fabulous ladies from the New Neighbors Club, which I have come to understand is a really amazing way for people to integrate in the community. So with that, let's get to it. If you will introduce yourselves and just share a little bit first of how long you've been in Gig Harbor and kind of where you originated from or how you got here.
Well, I'm Debbie Bailey, and we moved here from Mammoth Lakes, California.
Okay.
And one of the first things that we came up against was, how are we going to make friends?
Okay.
We don't work, so we don't have work buddies. We don't have kids in school. You know, we aren't particularly religious that we're going to, seek out a church. And I saw a little blurb in the paper.
Okay.
And it about Gig Harbor New Neighbors, and it's just a social group. So I called the number and got the information and joined.
Awesome. And how many years ago was that?
10.
Okay, so you've been in Gig Harbor about 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm Barbara Henderson, and I also have been here about 10 and a half years. Debbie was one of the first friends I made in Gig Harbor, actually, but not through New Neighbors. But we ended up obviously involved in New Neighbors together. We moved here from coastal Virginia.
Okay.
Hampton Roads, for the folks who have any idea where that is. And we moved out for my husband's work, but it is not the sort of work where I would get to meet a lot of people. And same thing, don't have children, so not going to meet people through moms groups and more typical things. And saw an ad in the paper. There used to be the little weekly paper that came out. I love that paper. I miss it, but I agree. I like Gig Harbor Now a lot as well.
And it was a 1-inch ad.
Yeah,
in the classified section.
Tiny little ad. And so I answered the ad and I joined. And also when I moved here, we drove cross country Thanksgiving week and pulled in on a Saturday, and I took my husband to SeaTac on Wednesday, and he was gone until the following March or April.
oh no, so you were all by yourself.
3,500 miles from everyone I knew, all by myself, and I was like, I need to make some friends. So
It's such a similar theme that I hear from a lot of my clients at the point I'm at in my career. I work with more people like yourselves than others, and I hear it all the time. Like, what am I going to do to meet people? And same thing, without kids, it's a lot more challenging, and whether you're retired or like you said. So I'm really excited to learn as much as we can about the New Neighbors. Can one of you start with the background? Do you know how it got started?
You take that one.
Okay.
all right. It was another Barbara Burrows, who almost exactly 30 years ago, she and her husband moved to the area, and she wanted to meet people. Same situation, did not have family in the area, didn't have kids, or at least kids through whom she would meet other people, and put an ad in the paper inviting people into her home for coffee.
And this was in 94.
This was in 94.
Okay, so
Yep.
not quite pre-internet, but really close to pre-internet, right?
Close to
Okay.
pre-internet.
Definitely no social media or anything like that.
No.
So ad in the newspaper.
Ad in the newspaper, inviting people into her home for coffee, which says a lot about Gig Harbor.
Yes.
That you could just invite people into your home for coffee, and it just grew from there. They ended up, getting bylaws and sort of forming more formally and having
Establishing some parameters
and
Okay.
parameters and zip codes, things like that.
Okay. Well, we'll unpack kind of each of those things, but we'll do a start to finish real quick. So this was 94.
Yes.
And she probably had how many people?
Well, when she started, 6.
When she started.
When she started, she invited 6 people into her home.
Yeah.
Fast forward, and you've just told me you now have how many members?
About 1,000.
1,017 members. Right.
You read the report.
I did.
That is really, really exciting.
Yeah.
1,017 members. There aren't that many people in Gig Harbor.
No.
So it sounds like this is the place to be, is part of New Neighbors. So
And also because we have so many varied activities,
okay.
1,000 of us do not gather at once.
Right.
Right.
Okay. So we started out as a small coffee group and it grew. Can you talk at all about how the growth happened and what kind of I don't want to get too many questions ahead, but what kind of activities started evolving beyond coffee?
So initially it was by invitation. You had a friend and you invited that friend in, sort of like a private club sort of environment. And then you could inquire to come in, except you went to an orientation in advance of joining, and then you were invited to join. There were a lot of gardening groups.
Okay.
A lot of book clubs, shopping clubs. So it was very, 90s female centric.
Okay. Sounds good.
And it has evolved from that.
Great. Interesting that you had to go through an interview and kind of the private club thing. How, we'll get to all the activities and that kind of stuff.
Sure.
How has the membership evolved in terms of, I understand, if I moved to town and I inquired about getting into New Neighbors, how could I join? Would I still have to go through that interview process?
We would send you to our website,
Okay.
gigharbornewneighbors.com. Very original. That is the main source of information exchange for the club.
Okay.
But if you as a non-member comes in, you go to the homepage and it just gives you an overview of what activities we have, and the dues are $35 a year.
Wait. The dues are how much?
$35 a year.
$35 a year.
That's
is all
per household, not per member.
okay. Great. That's really amazing.
Bankbuster.
Yeah. Okay. So for
Well,
$35 a year for my household, I can join this great
yes.
club.
Yes.
Very cool.
And we are an all volunteer organization.
Okay.
And every activity has to pay for itself. In other words, if you're in a group that goes out for lunch, you pay for your own lunch.
Of course.
Things
Sure.
like that. The groups that are formed, every group needs an activity leader, and it's just kind of like herding cats, but just to get everybody going in the same direction.
Okay.
You're not a den mother or anything like that. So yeah, we encourage people who do join to volunteer as well. We have a board of directors.
Okay.
And the dues that you pay go for liability insurance,
Website.
the website, kind of fixed costs.
Sure.
But they exist.
So you have somewhere here, you shared with me this little card that is like a single spaced of all of your different activities.
No, that's not all of them.
Oh, it's not? Really? Oh my goodness. So I'm just going to read a few because I love the depth and breadth of this. So really, it starts out with coffee, book clubs, dinner groups, bunko, but then it goes into golf, happy campers, pickleball, hiking, trivia, exploring Washington, skiing, beer and wine, even down to genealogy and active arts. So how do you think, which is really cool, especially if this isn't all of them, where it didn't start out as this list.
No.
So how does a new activity get added to this list?
Oh,
like how did it become so big?
The structure used to be president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, and then directors. Well, the vice presidency was overseeing too many things. So they changed to vice president of activities, communication, and membership. I was the first vice president of activities. And basically our philosophy is if you have an interest and we don't have a group, then we'll start a group. And
Really? Okay.
My job was to get the word out, see who is interested, set up an organizational meeting.
Okay.
So if you decide, I really love shooting marbles and we need 10 people to start a new group. So we put the word out to the organization and 9 other people show up and said, I've been waiting, hoping someone was going to be shooting marbles. And then just get you organized and when are you going to meet, where are you going to meet, who's bringing the marbles, how often are you going to meet? And that person in charge would make sure that information is given to the club to put on the website.
I see. So at this point, rather than the board of directors or just the board of directors, you're saying that all of these are at least 10-member groups and there's one person who's the organizer. So you have how many organizers? Do you know how many groups you have?
60 activities.
60 to 65 different activities.
And book clubs counts as one activity, but right now there's probably
14.
14? I thought it was 12.
I'm also the book club coordinator.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then dining groups, there's multiple varieties of those. And
So are there, if I want to join a book club, how do I know what book club I can join?
The one that has an opening.
Okay, so there are limits to how many people can be a part of it.
And right now, as of today, all of the book clubs are full.
Okay.
And I'm in the process of setting up organizational meetings for potential new members, new book club members.
that's actually, Debbie and I are in the same book club and have been for probably 8 years.
Yes.
And it was the president at the time who said, hey, I have a list of people who are interested in book clubs, but no open space. All of you people come to my house. Let's make a book club. That book club is still going. We're meeting tomorrow.
Yes. And I'd say half the members are still original. And people move or lose interest or whatever, and other people filter in. So it's pretty constantly evolving, even as far as the activities.
Yeah.
My husband and I were one of 5 couples that started the pickleball group.
Okay.
Whenever that was. But then as we were gracefully aging in place, it turns out that, pickleball may not be an ongoing sport for us. But it has evolved from the 5 of us to, they cut it off at 120 this year.
120 couples or people?
People.
120 people. Are you the largest pickleball group
Probably
in
not.
the area?
South Sound is bigger.
Okay, but they're not just in Gig Harbor.
No.
But definitely in Gig Harbor, you're the largest pickleball group.
And there's 3, they're broken up into 3 different groups, and there are activity chairs for those, and they schedule with Penn Met Parks
Okay.
to reserve courts. And, here, set time, show up, bring your paddle, bring a chair, and they supply the nets and the balls.
The club does?
The club. Yeah.
Really? I had no idea
Yeah.
that New Neighbors was the place. I knew you had pickleball clubs, but I didn't know that you were the largest. That is really
As far
great.
as I'm not aware of anybody else.
The book clubs, you mentioned there are 14 at this point. Are they different genres? Like if I want to join a nonfiction book club, or
No, we do not have them segregated in that way.
Okay.
Now the people in that club may decide as a group, this is what we want to read. And then you may be the only one who said, but there's no Daniel Steele in there,
Shucks.
At which point they will gracefully show you the door.
But I do think if you wanted to form a nonfiction book club, you would find
Sure.
10 people, go to the book club chair and say, we have 10 people, we would like to form a nonfiction specific book
Right.
club.
Okay.
And there is specifically a men's
Men's book club.
Great. That was going to be my next
Yeah.
question is, are they
And we
mixed
have
gender?
daytime and evening clubs, and there's a co-ed club. There's
Okay.
2 co-ed clubs.
You don't have to be retired to be part of the New Neighbors, I'm sure. You're not retired. Tell me about the demographics of the New Neighbors, and has it evolved, or do you see it evolving?
I do.
Yeah, a lot.
A lot. We have a lot of younger members now,
Okay.
people who are still working. So we've been expanding evening and weekend activities.
Okay.
There's one called the Under 45 crowd, and there's one called After Hours. There's a music
Gig Harbor gigs or something like that. They do music, different music.
and
And,
go
they
live
play
music.
music, or they go see music?
Both, actually.
Oh, wow.
yeah.
So the Under 45 Club, so they're just a group of at least 10, and they pick whatever activity they want to do?
But we're not in that.
But they don't exclude us. We're welcome to join their activity, but they do gear it toward their interests, and some of which are similar to ours.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So
What would you say the New Neighbors has done for you personally? I think I already know the answer to the question, but in terms of integrating into the community, would you say that it was one of the important factors that allowed you to do that?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And, and it seemed like when you and I joined, there was a whole spate of people coming in at the same time where we were, at that point, younger, and had more current view activities, and more people were getting involved, as opposed to just, okay, I want to join because I want to be in a book club, not want to do anything else.
Got it.
So a lot of us that joined at the same time ended up holding office, being on the board,
Yeah.
being organizers of things.
Yeah, our class was very,
Yes.
very involved, very, I think, active in driving the changes.
Okay.
Including
that.
more men, a larger variety of activities, and more active activities.
Okay.
I know
It's
that
starting
sounds
out
like a
with
real-
coffee and probably merging into book club.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
you're saying you
And now
really...
they're hiking and skiing. And,
Yes.
Like the
Yeah.
ladies shopping group isn't happening anymore, but people are hiking up Mount Si, and although I feel like hiking has been around for a while, but they're pretty ambitious.
Well, it's
And there's
cute
a-
that you say that, because just the other day I heard one of my friends talking about, she's like, be careful of the New Neighbors hikes, they're strenuous.
They grade them now. They try to do 2
Good.
a month, and
Okay.
one is more introductory, and then one is like, you're a hiker.
But in addition to the hiking group, there's also a walking group.
Okay.
So, and there's pedal pals. They have a bicycle group, and they go to trails all over the area. So, and their routes are plotted out ahead of time.
Okay.
Everybody shows up at a point. They do their ride, and then everybody goes out for lunch. So, and
There's usually food and or beverage
and or
involved
beverage,
in-
adult beverages involved. Yes, that happens frequently.
Do you feel like being part of New Neighbors has pushed you to different activities that you might not have considered being a part of before?
Literally had never belonged to a book club before joining Neighbors, literally. I think, and this might be backing up a little bit, but when I moved here, some of the first events that I went to were the Explore Washington group.
Which is?
So I came from literally the other side of the country, Washington. I was probably in my mid-20s before I figured out whether Washington or Oregon was the one that was farther north. But I know where Vermont and New Hampshire are, so I feel like it's fair. But
Take it where you can get it.
yeah, but I really didn't know where I'd moved to. And so Explore Washington will go out, and like one of my first events was we went up to the Suquamish Museum. And I was blown away. We had a docent, and then we had lunch down in that little restaurant that's down near I can't think of the name of it, but it was great. We've gone up to Port Townsend. We've gone to Port Gamble. They did recently that Grit City tours in Tacoma. We've done glass museums.
Oh, neat.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is, for somebody who's brand new to the area, not only is it, active activities and a way to meet people, but it's a great way to even get to know the area and all the great things that are here.
We had a trip to the Capitol.
We pretty regularly do walking tours of Gig Harbor and the Destiny cruise, Destiny Harbor cruises.
And the nice thing is that when there's an activity chair for that, actually there's 3 of them for that one.
Yeah.
And everywhere we go, we have a docent. So we are ushered in, and we have someone with all the knowledge right there.
Yeah.
It is nice.
It's a great way to learn about where you are, as well as meet people around you. So,
tell me a little bit about the camaraderie that comes into play. I mean, now you're at 1,000 people. That's quite a bit.
Well, I think the camaraderie develops with those people who want to be involved in. I don't want to say leadership positions, but in supporting the organization, because everybody tends to have similar outlook.
Sure.
And the people that are involved in less involved activities find their people. So, there are people that just join New Neighbors and just come to the luncheon once a month. Which, speaking of luncheons,
Okay.
once a month we have a luncheon. And are we continuing on at the same place?
we are continuing on.
Okay, they're held at Canterwood.
Okay.
And you pay for your own lunch, and there's always a speaker. And Barb was our most recent speaker manager, and she had people come and speak where I'm like, what could they possibly talk about that's going to be interesting? And they were amazing. I mean, you learn so much. And then you're sitting with people that you've never met before, and you just start chatting. And then the next time you run into that person at the supermarket, it's like, what did you think of the speaker? And it just
flows.
Yes, it just what's the word? Trickles out.
Oh, trickle out theory.
Trickle out theory.
I like it. That's one of the other things. We're not allowed to discuss politics and use the organization for self-promotion, party promotion, business promotion, any of that. It is strictly social.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I tell people when I meet them. No politics, no religion, no commercialism.
Yeah.
Can we have more of that, please? No wonder you have 1,000 members.
Yeah.
No politics.
We're all looking for a place to not have discussions about things that can be tricky. So.
That sounds so refreshing.
Yeah.
It really does.
Be as active and as involved as you want. You know, I've yet to meet anybody. Okay, one person. Judgmental.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there was a situation where they sometimes ask us as board members to go to orientations, and this one lady was there, and we listened to the presentation, and you know, so I'm sitting next to her, and I turned and I said, so what do you think? Something you're interested in? And she said, I'm looking for a group that's a little more cerebral. And it's like, hey, well, good luck.
And the crazy thing is that there are some genuinely brilliant and fascinating people.
Oh, I'm sure.
You get to know them as you know, we have retired 4-star generals, we have
professors,
doctors, and lawyers, and business owners.
Indian chiefs.
Maybe an Indian chief or two, probably.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
Oh, boy, that's right.
what do you think it says about Gig Harbor and the reason overall that people live in Gig Harbor that you have a group of 1,000 people and your rules are no politics, no religion? Basically, am I right that it's just about community and being nice to each other and enjoying activities together? I mean, what do you think that says about Gig Harbor in general?
Well, I think it says it's a wonderful community.
Yeah.
I'm delighted that we landed here because we lived in a ski resort in California. And we were relocating, and we really weren't sure where we were going to end up. So we sold the house, we bought an RV, and we traveled for a year and a half and looked at all kinds of places. And we were narrowed it down to the last 6. We had made the second visit to the first 5 of those, and we were on our way to the 6th, which was Whidbey Island. And
I'm sure I can name this thing.
And we happened to stop in Gig Harbor, and I said, this looks like a charming little town. I wonder if we can afford to live here. So we went and got a list from a realtor, and we looked at the first 5 houses and said, yes, this place has definite potential. We can do this. And then we looked at house number 6 and said, we'll take it. And all the research went out the window. That we just spent the last year and a half doing.
Oh, that's
And
fantastic.
we are both delighted. That's
Good.
where we landed.
Wonderful. And so if I'm a new person, coming to town, what would be, like, if you could summarize a takeaway about New Neighbors or the best thing about it, what would you say to me?
I would say that one of the fastest ways to meet people is literally to volunteer to do something inside of New Neighbors. I had met a couple people, but then when I got involved as secretary on the board, and then that was when you were doing luncheons.
Yes.
And then you can't help but meet people when
Right.
you're volunteering. And then just, I feel like people are so welcoming that while it might be in a lot of ways, and for a lot of people, not me, not you, but for a lot of people, it's terrifying to walk into a place on your own, or you don't know people. The people who organize the events do so knowing that there are going to be people who are uncomfortable or unsure or new. And so that, like, the board has marching orders at the luncheons to, if you see someone new, like, hey, I'm Debbie or I'm Barbara, and, welcome, and asking questions and making sure they feel welcome and get their questions answered. So both things, that the organization is full of people who were whoever you are now at some point, guaranteed, and then volunteering is a huge way to get to know people.
And sometimes you don't even have to step up to volunteer, because I know when I went to the first luncheon, I said, okay, and I went to the second luncheon, and I made the mistake of making eye contact with the president, and then I was in charge of luncheons.
Yeah, that was Paula, right?
Yep,
she
it
was a
was.
force. Yes. That was me being secretary. She was also incredibly instrumental in making changes in the organization, bringing it forward.
What do you do to make sure, or how do new people find out about New Neighbors? And I'll just give you a quick example. A dear friend of mine lost her husband a few years back, and they'd been in Gig Harbor for quite some time. And after some time went by, she said to me, I need to find friends. I need to do things. And I said, well, duh, join New Neighbors. And she looked at me and said, what are you talking about? She didn't know. And so I introduced her to the club, and she's just delighted. She's met a whole bunch of wonderful people. So how do you put out the word, or how does somebody find out about New Neighbors?
Well, a couple of ways.
Yeah.
You have one of our rack cards, and we distribute those at the library. I have gone to real estate offices and spoken at, like, the weekly meeting. Let the real estate community know about it. Electric company. Everybody has to go into Peninsula Light if they want electricity. So, we have a stack there. Any place like insurance offices,
Okay.
Banks, any place where new people are going to have to go to get established, we have rack cards there. And we also have our website, which is only probably advertised on our rack cards.
It's interesting.
And then we have little business cards that just looks like a business card on the front, and on the back is a little, 2-sentence blurb about the organization. And then it says questions, go to our website or call, and then there's a space for you to put your name and phone number. So if you're talking to somebody in the supermarket and this comes up, it's more of a personal connection. Like, sure, you can go to the website, but maybe I'll just call Debbie because I have a couple more questions. But that's the whole feel of the organization.
It's very neighborhood friendly.
And it's very just Gig Harbor. There's 4 zip codes.
Oh, okay. Let's touch on that.
Okay.
So you have to live in Gig Harbor or Fox Island
or Key Peninsula.
Okay.
Wana. It's 9329. So it's the northern part of Key Peninsula.
Okay. So basically, you've got the 4 zip codes that are Gig Harbor, Fox Island, and Wana.
Yeah.
Okay. And can you touch on why you keep it limited to the specific zip codes?
There's a couple of reasons, actually. One is that it's a not-for-profit social organization,
Okay.
and so it's required to have a physical restriction of some sort.
Okay.
And so that's part of it. The other part is most or many events are held in member homes or local businesses. And so if someone from, let's just say, Squim, go way out, wanted to join, then if they were having a book club,
Sure.
then everyone has to drive to Squim.
Got it.
So the idea was to keep it compact. It used to be actually that large events, like you could fit most of the members into like one person's home. We can't do that anymore, so we do things like rent space at the Eagles or through PenMet or any of the other rental locations around town. The events being held in people's homes made it less desirable to have them too far afield.
Okay.
However, if you are a member and you move,
Yes.
you are grandfathered in.
Okay.
So as long as you're still paying your dues, you're still a member.
Yeah.
And we have a couple people that have actually moved out of the area but do come back for certain events.
Okay. You touched on this earlier, but I'm going to ask the question again because you mentioned when you were talking about the history and how it started, you said that there was almost like an interview process. It sounds like to be a member. Tell me what it's like now. If I'm a new person in town, you say, I go to the website. Do I then, is there a background check? Is there, like, how do I get approved to be part of the group?
There's no approval.
There's no approval.
You have $35. You're
Okay. Okay. So it's evolved from that point. Now it's just anybody who wants to be part of the group signs up, pays their $35. And then how do I know what's going on?
on the website.
On the website.
Every single activity has a page
A whole page.
on the website.
Okay. And do you keep a master calendar or something
Yep,
like
that's
that?
on the website.
The website.
The directory is on the website, membership directory.
In the members only area. I should,
Yeah.
that's I think important is that there is a non-member facing part of the website, and then there is a secure part of the website because there are members' phone numbers,
Right,
addresses,
of course.
etc. That we keep private.
And if you don't want your information public, even just to the members, it doesn't have to be. You can just say, I don't want to be in the membership directory.
I think that's also part of the evolution of the organization. Initially, the dues went largely to producing, printing, and mailing a newsletter. We are now sending out a weekly email saying, "Hey, this is what's coming up this week, and here's the website." If you just want to go find other events and
You might not know the exact answer to this question, but if I were to go to the calendar for this particular week, how many different events do you think might be
This week?
available in any given week?
30-ish.
Yeah.
Probably about 30.
30 different
I went
events.
to one Tuesday. I'm going to one tomorrow. I know I missed one. I mean, there's like probably 30 events this week.
So there really is just something for everybody. Almost anytime
Yeah.
And
husband
again,
goes out of town for a week and I want some things to do, I can find something to do, right?
Absolutely.
and again, and if what you want to do isn't there, we'll start another group.
I think that part is really exciting.
Yeah.
So if somebody brings something new to the table, then they just need to find 10 other people who are interested in that.
I guess one of the other things that I want to make sure gets communicated is you don't actually have to be new in Gig Harbor. So you
Right.
talked about your friend who is a widow, and there is a group for widows and widowers, because that is, as their sort of blurb puts it, unfortunately, everyone.
Yeah, we're on a path we did not choose.
Right.
Yeah. Sooner or later, you're either gone or you're left behind, and by and large, and so.
No, those are the only two.
Yeah,
options.
you could go together.
Good
Spellman
point.
Louise. You could,
Good point.
so someone who had lost her husband said, "Hey, this was a tough journey, and it's a unique journey, and I want to work with other people. And it's not therapy; it's just being around
Camaraderie.
people with a similar circumstance. Yeah, and that has been going strong for 5 years. And no, you do not have to be new into the community to join.
And what I tell people is, I would say half of our new members are new to Gig Harbor, and the other half are new to retirement.
Yeah.
And okay, now what are we going to fill our days with?
Yeah.
That type of thing.
Does the organization have goals for the future, and where do you see it evolving to?
Well, you know what? I would pretty much say we're a here and now kind of.
Oh, I love that. That's great.
You know, we'll see where it evolves to. It
Okay.
evolves based on the members' interests. So,
Yeah, there are groups that have come and gone. There was a Spanish
yeah,
group get together and speak Spanish.
Hablame mucho. And we got together once a month and met at a different Mexican restaurant and spoke Spanish. And the wait staff thought we were hilarious.
We were hilarious. But then like there is no ladies shopping group anymore. When that had been a large activity, there is.
We could all get together and go on Amazon at the same time.
We could do that.
The Amazon group is forming.
It's a bottom up. It's a very organically moving and evolving group. I think is probably you said that. I just said it differently.
Yes. But and just as well.
Well, I have just appreciated all of this information that you've shared. I think you've been just such a wealth of knowledge about the organization, but what you've taught me is just how much is available, and for anybody who's coming to Gig Harbor, or even somebody who's been here for a while who's looking for some new and exciting things to do, $35 per year. And
we could probably set up a scholarship program.
and you just have everything. So again, thank you for joining me today. I really, really appreciate this, and I know that the people who see this video are going to be really excited about the new neighbors and all the great things that you guys do.
Thanks for sharing it.
Yes, and getting the word out.
Thank you. Well, I hope you got as much great information out of talking with Barbara and Debbie as I did. I want to thank you for joining me today, and I hope you subscribe to our series because we have many more great topics coming up. Thanks so much.